evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host, Jim Delfino. Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick Face is the human foghorn. He hates losing like it's a personal insult. He bickers with fans who don't agree with his takes, and his passion is louder than a Wilyer Abreu bat flip. Worst case, he drones into a coma mid roast. Best case, he starts a Twitter riot with a single eyebrow raise. Keep that shtick going, Nick. Let's hear you roar. And also joining me tonight is the illustrious Nick Diamond, fresh out of Florida, the rookie stat lord of the group. He crunches numbers like they owe him money and is more obsessed with on base percentage than most people are with their kids. He's young enough to talk smack, smart enough to back it up, and obsessed enough to drill us with factoids till we beg for mercy. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox walked it off in the ninth inning because, of course, they did. Now 5 walk-off wins wearing the Green City Connect uniforms. The Sox sit at 67 and 56 and are currently 4.5 games behind the first place Toronto Blue Jays. Tonight, they beat the Miami Marlins 2-1 at Fenway with Trevor Story's walk-off single after Roman Anthony's walk, Alex Bregman walked, and Jared Duran was hit. Lucas Giolito battled through 6 in the third innings of 1-run ball, scattered 7 hits, and striking out 5 before sending it to Whitlock and Aroldis Chapman to slam the door. Start with you, Nick Diamond, tonight. What are your reactions to tonight's victory, and what are your projections moving forward for the rest of the series?
Sandy really pitched well tonight. It would be nice to have acquired him at the deadline, so that was one of my big points I wanted to bring up. He went 4 perfect innings, I think, or 4 1/3 or something like that. Story finally got the hit to break it open or get the first base runner. And then we didn't get another base runner until Roman Anthony walked later in the game. That's a theme that's going on right now. Roman Anthony seems like he walks twice every single game. So he was a big part of today's win when he walked to lead off the ninth. And then just coming around and scoring the winning run with the walk-off by Trevor Story again. So it was nice to get a win against Sandy, who's a tough pitcher. I know his ERA doesn't look great. It's like a 6.5, but he looked great tonight. He looked like vintage Cy Young Sandy. So my biggest takeaway was I think the Red Sox should have gone harder after him at the deadline. He's a controllable starter. I think he would have bounced back in a big market. He seemed to like Fenway Park tonight. I think he'd be big. He'd live for a big moment. So, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, he looked excellent tonight. Nick Face, your reactions to tonight's victory.
Excuse me for a minute. Gentlemen, get with the program here. It's a green night. It's a beautiful night. It's a beautiful night in the neighborhood now. Let's go.
It's not easy being green.
I feel like Wally. I guess I will hit it off first with my dinner tonight. So my dinner, I had a fortune cookie. My fortune cookie said, "Good luck will find you wherever you go." That must have went right into the hands of the Red Sox. So I had that as a little bit of an omen here tonight. They were dead in the water against Sandy, guys. They were. He looked outstanding. That was vintage Cy Young-esque Sandy Alcantara tonight. I was getting worried. I know in our little chat that we have, it was not pretty early on. But leave it to Mr. Walkathon. Roman Anthony got on. And then something triggered to me when Bregman was up. I could see it in his eye that he was trying to figure out. I saw him looking around. I don't know if you guys were noticing, but he was looking at the left, looking center, looking right. Maybe he was trying to visualize kind of what the heck was going on, where he could dump one and get this team jump-started. Well, he did, right down the right side, and it was a perfect swing, perfectly executed, and Mr. Wheels was able to score and make it 1-1. I know we talk a lot about Trevor Story. He's not my biggest I'm not the biggest fan of his at times, but I got to give credit where credit's due. He came up in a big spot, delivered, got the job done, and sends Fenway home all happy. The other thing I want to talk about, too, and I'm sure we're going to get into this, the other star for me tonight was Lucas Giolito. What a wonderful bounce back. He was not the drippy snowman as we saw last Saturday in San Diego. He looked like Lucas Giolito that was rebounding this season and getting back into a durable, controllable starter that we can feel happy about taking the ball every 5 days. That was a very much needed boost that all the fans and Lucas Giolito himself got from doing a really solid job. And he went 6 and 2/3 innings, and then handed it over to Justin Wilson. And again, Justin Wilson, a heck of a job coming out of the bullpen, getting the job done to end the 6th, and then came into the 7th. I know we had to go to Whitlock for the end of that inning, but I didn't have any worries with him. He looked great. Just all in all, a nice game for them. The offense still needs to get going here. I'm not overly thrilled with the results here tonight, but you take a win any way you can.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. I mean, Lucas Giolito, 6 1/3, 7 hits. They were scattered, thank goodness. Only one earned run. Defense was pretty good behind him. 5 strikeouts. The most important thing, I think, of all those stats is that he only had one walk, right? So he wasn't putting a lot of people on, even though he had the 7 hits. And it wasn't something that it became, any inning was really got away from him. So a nice bounce back victory, surgical victory for him. I mean, he didn't get the win, but the bottom line is that it's a personal win. And with that being said, do you think he's back to being reliable, Nick Diamond?
Yeah, I think I'd still trust him right now. I don't know if I'd trust him in a big time Game 7 situation in the playoffs. I think that's a Garrett Crochet type of guy, but I still think Lucas Giolito is a reliable starter going forward. And my biggest thing today, like you brought up, was he wasn't really throwing strikes. He was walking everybody in his last start. He just looked awful on the mound. He was sweating and looking just terrible. Tonight, 6 1/3. It was only 92 pitches. He just filled up the zone. It was 69% strike percentage, so that's way up where it was last start. So I think you can still trust him. It was just a blip on the radar. He's been almost really good for about 3 months now. So it's between him and Bayo as your 2 starter, and I'd probably trust Bayo more, but Lucas Giolito is not a bad guy to have in the rotation going forward. I'd be interested to see how close he gets to that option mark where he can opt out or not. So it might be worth it just to send him an extension offer for maybe 2 years, and so you don't have to even worry about it. I don't know what he would like. I don't know what his market would be like, but that option's really intriguing for him.
He's got 106 2/3 innings. I believe that is before tonight's game, so his projected was at 132 for the season. He is coming close to that 145. Be interesting to see what they do if they want to bring him back, if that option doesn't trigger. The one thing that I really was happy about outside of the walks was the fact that the bullpen did not have a lot of pitches, even though we had to use Wilson, we had to use Whitlock and Chapman. There was only 11 pitches for Chapman, 4 for Whitlock, 8 for Wilson. So before we got on the air, we did discuss that it's pretty possible that at least Whitlock probably could be back tomorrow if he's in that needed role. Switching gears a little bit, talk about Carlos Narvaez a little bit. 0 for 3 again tonight, batting ninth now. This is a guy that earlier in the season was our number 4 hitter for certain games. 2 for his last 16, a 125 batting average, and a 176 on-base percentage. Nick Face, is he showing signs of being tired? We've got 3 catchers now. Where do we go from here? Is this time to hit the panic button?
He's been tired for over a month. Let's be real. He has. The reason we have 3 catchers right now is because Navarez's workload is way overboard than what he's ever done. Okay, you're asking a rookie here to take on a major league staff, to adjust with major league pitching, and get all of his hitting and catching and everything together. And over a long haul, it's expected. I'm surprised he wasn't on the IL. In all fairness, I was. And I think the Red Sox were a little bit surprised too. So that's why they jumped on the saddle here and got this other guy, Ali Sanchez. Whether he gets into a game or not, I really don't know. But you're going to end up seeing a little bit more Wong here. You just are. I mean, you did see it over the San Diego series. Wasn't pretty. I didn't love it. But he played. He's played a little bit better. Definitely doesn't still feel like I have the confidence level yet with anything from Wong. But I am concerned with our catching. I am 100% concerned with it. Because if they break down, say Narvaez and Wong give you nothing, and you're starting to see mental mistakes. We've already seen some things with Narvaez with catcher's interference calls, whether it's his fault or not. You can't see that because you know what happens with this team with these mental mistakes and these mental errors. They start to spiral, and they spiral out of control, and then that triggers bad innings, and sometimes it does end up in a loss. So we're lucky and fortunate that it hasn't turned that way. I was very pleased with his game that he had on Tuesday night in Houston. That was a big turnaround. I saw some definite strides to working out of the funk that he's been. He had a nice home run down the left field side in Houston, which was crushed, and I believe he also had a double also that game. Now, I don't want to put too much stock into that game because who knows what was in the air for the Red Sox that night. It seemed like everything was going right for them, and it wasn't going great over the Padres in the other two games that we saw against the Astros. So maybe it was just bad pitching, bad mistakes that Houston made, crap relief pitching as well thrown into that, and they teed off. That could be the result on why that game on Tuesday was the 14-1 crusher. But I got to say, the catching situation is making me very nervous here on figuring out the rest of this season. And we still need to figure out what Ali Sanchez is all about.
Yeah, I mean, you have 6 weeks left, right? It's the 15th of August today, so 6 weeks left of baseball. I have to agree with you, Nick. I'm really surprised that Narvaez wasn't put on the IL. I think a lot of people keep forgetting he's still a rookie, and the fact is he probably could have used the time off. He was definitely limping, out in the San Diego series. One of our listeners, Maddie in California, who calls on 95.8 the sport with 95.8 the Sports Hub there. He actually sent me some video showing him limping a little bit as he was throwing in catching in between innings, and it was definitely a glaring. So I was kind of surprised that he wasn't on the IL. I think he needed that time. It would have been a guaranteed time that he would have had. So I mean, on the one hand, kudos for him, gutting it out. But at the same time, if this was Roman Anthony or if it was, Mayer, I mean, do you think they would have maybe been a little bit more cautious with those guys? But yet, Carlos, they're not being as cautious with him, in my opinion. Nick Diamond, your thoughts?
I completely agree with both of you. I think Carlos Narvaez definitely needed time off. I think he would have benefited from the time off. But my biggest thing with the roster right now is we have three catchers on the roster, and we're not utilizing them. Like you brought up that Ali Sanchez has still not been brought into a game. There's a specific moment I wanted to bring up tonight with Carlos Narvaez struggling. It was the eighth inning, I think with 2 outs, and he got out. I think it was a perfect opportunity to pinch hit when you have Yoshida and Refsnyder on the roster. Those are a perfect opportunity to put one of those guys in the game, see if he can get on base and start a rally with Roman Anthony coming up next. But no, Carlos Narvaez ends the inning. It didn't really matter because we won the game, but you have three catchers, so you can pinch hit for Narvaez early. If you go to extra innings, you can pinch hit for Wong again and go with Ali Sanchez. So there's opportunities to be aggressive, and Cora wasn't really aggressive. It worked out. The Red Sox are a better team than the Marlins. They won the game, but he could have been more aggressive. He could have gone with Yoshida, or he could have gone with Refsnyder. When you have three catchers on the roster, you can be aggressive in pinch hitting.
Those are some excellent points, especially when you have that third catcher. I agree with you, Nick, 100%. They could have definitely tried pinch hitting in that instance. So either it's just Cora not being within the moment, or he's just too afraid to have anybody else behind that plate other than Carlos. I don't have any other answer for that. So it's a very interesting thought that you just had. Moving right along, I want to talk a little bit about some other news. Cutter Crawford was in the dugout and he had some interviews today. And I guess the semblance that we're hearing now is that he got injured putting down some fertilizer or something like that. Nick Diamond, your thoughts on this situation and how does your reaction for it?
Whatever. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but we already knew his season was pretty much over. He wasn't going to contribute to this team this year. Hopefully, he comes back healthy and nothing like this ever happens again. But honestly, no one was thinking about Cutter Crawford until he brought this up. So, or somebody asked him in the dugout. So, this is kind of a non-story to me. It's kind of funny to bring up, but yeah, hopefully he's back next year and competing and maybe be in the rotation. Who knows? But at this point, he's kind of had a lost season and he's kind of out of the depth chart. So whatever. Hopefully we see him again.
Yeah, exactly. The other quickie I want to put out, we talked about this once before. Tanner Houck, it is official. He's going to have Tommy John surgery now next week, I believe on Monday. So he will be completely out for the 2026 season. Nick Face, your reaction to this? I know we covered this a little bit back a couple weeks ago, but just to kind of have our listeners hear it a little bit more again, your thoughts on that. And, it's possible they may not even tender him a contract for 27. He'll be a free agent in that year, I believe.
On the Cutter Crawford front, somebody get that man a goddamn John Deere. Just get it. What the hell's his problem? You're a professional ball player. Get him a John Deere. Get him a Gator so he doesn't get hurt. Moving on. Tanner Houck. Lost cause. Just a lost cause. It feels like it feels like that all-star selection from him from 2024 was a joke. He's going to be a one-hit wonder. I feel like I've said this before, but he gives me Justin Masterson vibes so much because here's a guy that was exceeding and doing so well when he was in the bullpen. I think he was the 7th or 8th when Daniel Bard was down or whatnot, and you had an awesome pair with Papelbon and everything that was there. And then they wanted to finagle and move him in as a starter, and it just went out of control, and then he went to the Indians. Yes, I said Indians, because they are the Indians. But overall, I'm not expecting much on Hulk. I don't even know if they're going to even tender him a contract after it. I wouldn't be surprised, but I am done with the whole song and dance with injury prone. Let's do this 1 year. Let's try this. Let's Corey Kluber him. I'm done. I'm done. I want quality. I'm moving on.
So it is final now. The Blue Jays do come back and beat the Rangers 6-5. Too bad we could have picked up a game on the Blue Jays in that instance. But the next thing I did want to talk about is this talk of Nathaniel Lowe. Obviously, he was DFA'd. What are your thoughts? Nick Face, I'll start with you. The bottom line here is that Toro, we talked about it earlier, I think last week, 0 for 3 again tonight. He's really struggling with the bat. Do you think it's time to kind of jump ship from him and see what we can do as a replacement?
I do, but it's not Nathaniel Lowe. I'm all set. I don't want to take a chance on this. You have two better options right now in Worcester. I'm screaming off the top of the cliff right now. Where is Christian Campbell? Where is he? I don't want to hear Alex Cora say one more time he's got more work to be done. Get your work up here, guy. That's where it needs to be done. And then I want to see Mr. Garcia, our password. The password is Major Leagues, and he needs to be up here too. And I said before on this, I'm fine. If Christian Campbell's going back to second, I get it. It's not ideal because we know what kind of player he is at second base. But if I can get his bat plus put passwords in at first base, I'm as happy as a clam. You don't need to take a waiver on Nathaniel Lowe. If the Nationals said bye-bye, the Red Sox don't need to say hello.
Nick Diamond, your reaction. I mean, he's a couple years removed from a 300 batting average and a World Series champion.
You know, I think Nathaniel Lowe's an upgrade on Abraham Toro, but is it that much of an upgrade? Not really. He really didn't have that great of a year, and I guess the rumor was he wasn't great in the clubhouse. He was kind of I guess, not a good teammate, but who knows? Um, but like Nick Face said, I think to me, Christian Campbell is the solution. I don't think it happens until September 1st in the call-ups, but I think he is the solution at first base. I don't think the passer gets called up. I think it's just too premature. Um, his numbers are unreal in AAA, but I think there is some concern there. I mean, I really think Campbell is the more polished player, hopefully. But like I said, I think it's September 1st when they call him up, and I don't know if you can wait that long. I mean, you still have a little bit of a cushion, but I'd bring Christian Campbell up before I would go Nathaniel Lowe. But if they brought Nathaniel Lowe in, I think I would be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would, throw my remote control through the TV if they brought Lowe in, and it could be something that they could decide to say, look, we'll bring him in for 2 weeks. They could always release him after that if they want to bring Campbell up in September 1st, while we have the opportunity to have those call ups. But we're just not getting anything really great out of Toro right now, and it really bothers me because we still have the rest of this Miami series. You've got Baltimore, New York, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh before September 1st. I know Pittsburgh is a lame duck. Baltimore's been a disappointment all season. You've got 6 more with them. You do have that 4-game series in the Bronx. And the Yankees don't scare me as much as I think they would have, especially earlier in the season. So I just think that, we need to get as much offense out of first base as we can. And what about Yoshida? I mean, he was taking grounders in the minor leagues on his rehab assignment at first. Never saw him at first either. Any reactions to that comment?
I think it's kind of funny, but I don't want to see Yoshida anywhere near first base taking grounders. I don't want to see him do anything with a glove on in the infield. I think it would be kind of funny if you had like a 10-game lead with 3 to play, but in meaningful baseball games, you're trying to win. This is kind of the stupidest thing you could possibly do. It'd be so funny with his pants up above his belly button and just trying to pick bad throws.
Can I do that?
Yeah. You can't have a guy playing
Hi,
first
Carl.
base. You can't have a guy playing first base that's about 5'2". It just doesn't work too well with that. So,
he just reminds me of Steve Urkel from Family Matters so much.
Can I do that?
Got any cheese?
It was noted today that I think either Boston Sports Gordo or Chris Cotillo had mentioned it. I forgot who it was. Red Sox have, I think, the 8th easiest schedule in the remaining games that are left. 34 games with teams with worse records than the Red Sox is. I think if that's accurate. And bottom line here is that what are your thoughts moving forward, Nick Face? I'll start with you for the remainder of August and September. You think this is going to be a team that's going to get into this wild card this year finally?
Nobody cares about my remote I just shattered? No. It's right there for them. It is. You need to keep playing the baseball that you're doing right now, in that win your games at Fenway Park. Clearly, that is where you're most comfortable. That is where whatever mojo you have this season is a major advantage. So any opponent that comes into Fenway, they should be nervous right now, because the Red Sox got something great going at Fenway Park right now. So that's a major plus that we haven't had for quite some time. So that's great. You need to beat up on your bad clubs. I mean, your Baltimore's coming up. If you don't take 3 or 4 from that is unacceptable. If you don't sweep Pittsburgh, don't even talk to me. If you just don't take care of those things, that's where you're going to get into trouble. So it's that old song, taking care of business. You better take care of business, because I'm not putting up with another August slide and then a September crumble like we've seen since 2022. I will say at least 2021, the last week, you got into the playoffs.
Nick Diamond, your reaction, the Red Sox and their schedule for the rest of the season, Do you see enough cookies there for them to pull this off?
They should pull it off, unless they collapse. In my opinion, if they don't get into the playoffs at this point, it'll be because they collapse. I don't think there's any teams behind them that are going to absolutely take off and knock them out. And right now, they're not in that third wild card spot. So that's what's different in the last few years. They were in that third wild card spot hunt. Now they're in that first and second wild card hunt, and even a little bit of a division hunt. If you look at the rest of this Marlins series, they absolutely should sweep this series after stealing today's win. They didn't really deserve to win how Sandy pitched, but they stole today's win. And if you look at the matchups, Bale versus Cal Quantrill, they should win that game easily. And then Crochet's pitching against Jansen Junk, who's been good, but he's kind of been bad the last start. Like I think he had like an 8-7 year. I don't know off the top of my head, but he had a blow up start last time, and his stats kind of look inflated. But the Red Sox should sweep this series. The Orioles, if they take 2 or 3, it'd be hyped. They're at Fenway Park. And then the Pirates, easy sweep. But hopefully, if they don't get run into Skeens, it should be an easy sweep. If they run into Skeens, I'm okay with 1 loss, maybe in that series. But all I'm asking for is to get to that Blue Jays series in late September, 1 or 2 games behind them. If you're 1 or 2 games behind them and you have a 3-game series in late September, anything can happen. And that's all I'm really asking for. I think the week schedule sets up for a chance for that to happen. I don't know what the Blue Jays schedule is off the top of my head, but I'm assuming they'll be at least a 500 team going forward. They're not going to completely choke, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I think if the Red Sox don't at least make the wild card, it's a choke. It's a collapse.
Yeah, so they are playing Texas obviously right now. They pulled today's victory out, unfortunately. They've got 2 more with Texas over the weekend. Their opponents moving forward, they have 3 at Pittsburgh, 3 at Miami. They have Minnesota. So they've got 9 games that are pretty much cookies. Then they face the Milwaukee Brewers at the end of August in a 3-game series in Toronto. So hopefully Milwaukee continues to win at a high level like they are. The September schedule for them, they have 3 against the Reds, who have been a decent team behind Francona this season. They have the New York Yankees. They have the Houston Astros. Then they'll have Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, the Red Sox, and Tampa Bay. So on paper, I would say it's a little bit of a harder schedule than ours. But again, time will tell if they falter more than the Red Sox will. So we'll have to see how that goes. That being said, we talked about the win to Nick Diamond. You talked about today's stolen victory, and I agree with you on that. We look at the rest of this series with Brian Bayo starting and also with Crochet starting. Nick Face, what's your take now with this victory under tow? How do you think they'll fare for the rest of the weekend?
What did I say? 2 or
Yes.
3? Did I say they take 2 out of 3 on Wednesday's show? Tomorrow's Bayo, and then Sunday's Giolito. Sunday's Crochet. I'm gonna change my outcome here. I'm gonna go with a sweep. I am. I think that this was a moral victory here for the Sox to get back on track, to come back home. I'm feeling pretty good. And as we said, I think Nick, you said it. Cal Quantrill's tomorrow. There's a guy that was much better as a relief pitcher. And then we have Jackson Junk on Sunday against Crochet. I can't. I think there's a bounce back for Bayo, and I think there's a bounce back for Crochet, and all will be happy in Red Sox land come Sunday late afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, Cal Quantrill is 4-9 on the season with a 5.09 and a whip of 1.35. If I remember correctly, too, wasn't he traded from Cleveland to Colorado? He had a really bad
Yes,
he
was.
had a really bad season with Colorado, as most people do. He was an 8-11 with a 4.98. So the last 3 seasons for Quantrill have been quite disappointing, and he wasn't the pitcher he was in his age 25, 26, and 27 when he was a 15-game winner for Cleveland with a 3.38 and made 32 starts. So he definitely fell off the end of the map there, and he should be someone that the Red Sox should be able to handle quite well. And hopefully, it's not going to be a nail biter tomorrow. But I am changing my outlook as well. I did say 2 out of 3 that the Red Sox would win, and I said, frankly, the bottom line is that if they didn't sweep, it actually would feel like a disappointment. Nick Diamond, your last thoughts on the next 2 games? What are you looking for? Do you also believe that they are in position to sweep?
I definitely think they should sweep. Like it should be a given with Bayo and Crochet. If they don't sweep, it'll be bad. Something bad would happen. Cal Quantrill does have some history with the Red Sox. He was the guy who called out Reese McGuire. I think that was last year. It feels a long time ago, but I think it was the guy who called out Reese McGuire in Colorado, and they kind of had a slight benches clearing brawl over the incident. But yeah, so there is a little bit of history with him and the Red Sox. So hopefully nothing happens, but I don't think that guy is gone now, so it won't matter. Hopefully.
Mr. Carjack, as he's known around these parts.
He just wanted to play with his bat.
Exactly. I think the one thing that I'll be watching real intently is how Crochet looks on Sunday. He's got to bounce back from that, terrible start. I still question as to whether the Astros were cheating or not, because he was shoving for 2 innings and he looked extremely dominant. And then it just all fell apart. And I just can't see how it could fall apart so rapidly for him in that start. So if he's back to being, the Cy Young candidate guy that we've been watching all season, then we'll just take it as a blip or a potential Astros cheating situation. And I think we'll still be okay. I think we'll still take this series, and we're probably going to sweep. They really need to get the wins, and they need to try to make some hay against Toronto. Hopefully, Texas can help us out a little bit. That being said, I think we're going to call it for tonight. I welcome everybody to go to our website at redsoxdigest.com and subscribe. It is free. You get a newsletter just about every day regarding the games from the night before. And also, Thayer has a section on Fenway Flashback where we are reviewing the 1975 season of the Red Sox. That being said, have a good night, everybody, and we will see you on